HD Rookie, bold track predictions for the upcoming Mario Kart. Now, as you guys know, I've already done mine. With Biff Whedon, Shafrillis Productions. Do you know what? Should we rate him on a bold scale? A 1 means he's got a full head of hair, no boldness to be seen. 10 means he's like Neptune bold. I'm gonna give you a rating, gamers. We're gonna give him a rating at the end of this video on how bold my guy is. Without further ado, Mr. Rookamajig, let's start.
With all the rumors about Mario Kart and the Switch 2...
Hey, we saw that. We saw the Switch 2.
I've been thinking about my track predictions from the beginning of the year again. These predictions were, well, rational, but in the middle of that project, I felt that something was off. You might recall that in the final video, I said my methodology, the one that Nintendo has in fact always followed, didn't feel indicative of the present anymore. And this was because things felt too predictable.
Yep.
There are only so many remaining permutations you can use when trying to make rosters out of only tracks that have never returned.
So if you guys don't know, just to give you a bit of a recap, I think HD Rookie was one of those, they're only going to bring back old tracks ever, you know? Which was a fine methodology to assume, because that's kind of what they already did. But it's fair to say in the large 2025, we don't think that anymore, do we? I think my opinion was, I think I said in my retro predictions, while they will prioritize tracks that have never come back, it's not going to be a thing that they care about too much. And I don't know if HD Rookie also has come to the light side. We'll see.
And strangely, I felt as if the lack of unpredictability itself was unrealistic. The truth of the matter is that while the old guidelines and patterns haven't really been contradicted, they just feel less and less relevant by the day. There was a time where it felt like they were truly prioritizing bringing back every retro track.
Yeah.
And it's not that I think they don't want to per se, but it does not feel like it's the main priority anymore. They'll get to it when they get to it, and perhaps that is for the better. Let's put things into perspective. Do we really think that Nintendo cares about when every SNES track is eventually brought back? Because they could have used the booster pass to catch up if they truly wanted to, but the only track that they crossed off the list was Bowser Castle 3. The reason's obvious. They care most about making the best product, and the best product doesn't prioritize SNES tracks or checking tracks off a list.
Yeah, but yes, they cared about the best product, gamers, giving us Toad Circuit. We love Toad Circuit, don't we, guys?
The Yoshi-shaped track for a second time.
It's shaped like a Yoshi. Hang on, he said it.
The best-selling product uses the Yoshi-shaped track.
Yes, it's shaped like a...
For a second time. It brings back the OG Rainbow Road once again, and adds Baby Park for better.
I've got happy hippos.
This is what's actually
if you know, you know.
And it's not like they never throw us a few change-ups on occasion. It's just that this is always going to be the role of a random SNES or GBA track. If they were ever going to be a priority, that ship clearly sailed when they selected 4 and 64 tracks to be in the base MK8 game to begin with, despite the fact that they had already brought back plenty of those tracks up to that point. Nintendo's best announcements are almost always unexpected. That's why the Smash trailers hit. There always feels like there's a chance for a loved character to return, but there's never a guarantee until it actually happens. Because if there was ever a guarantee, the excitement and buzz around the game just wouldn't be the same.
True.
And this brings me to my first bold prediction. GCN Rainbow Road will be the final track of the last Retro Cup. Now, we've anointed its predecessor, GBA Rainbow Road, as the track...
Is that really that bold? I don't know. If we're giving that bold rating, so I'm just opening my happy hippo, so I do apologize for the... 1 sec. Oh yes, delicious. Give me the happy hippo goodness. Muy delicioso. I would say, hang on, let me... Thank you. I would say in the large 25, not as bold as it would have been like about a year ago. You know? Not as, I think you're about a year too late to the party. Because I think that's like a prediction I've seen quite relatively commonly, I would say. You know, relatively commonly. Even I predicted that they'd skip GBA Rainbow Road, you know? I mean, I predicted that. And I'm sure if I asked Biff and Shafrillis if they took that section of the video to make their own, I'm sure they would have predicted that too. I don't doubt that in the slightest. And I think for my argument is that they just generally don't care about GBA as much as they care about the rest. Remember, I only had 1 retro in 7, had 1 retro in the base game of 8. It was only until the DLC and the BCP that they actually cared. So, hey, even Benjamin H skipped it. So, I would say we're definitely in the head of hair tier. Do you know what I mean? Like, the hairline is thinning. Well, we've got a full head of hair at the moment at HD. I'm just saying.
For this role for over a decade now. It's been next in line, the obvious answer, if you will. But does it make the most sense still? Well, of course it does, but there's no fun in predictability. Let's be honest for a second. Super Circuit was the worst selling Mario Kart game.
Boo! Hater! Hater!
Is, in my opinion, wrongfully considered to be the worst Mario Kart title.
Oh, wait, you know what? I love you. You're right.
Double Dash didn't light the world on fire sales-wise. It was a console game. People played the multiplayer over at others' houses, and it feels safe to say that more people experienced this track than the sales might indicate. I mean, 5 million people watched this video too, which is almost matching the total sales of the game to begin with. I think it's safe to say that the track is widely known and remembered. And while there was a time in my life where I expected MK8's console successor to be a handheld game, making GBA Rainbow Road perhaps the perfect closeout track, that ship has sailed now, because we expect the game to release on a Switch home console successor. And I feel like this perhaps makes a pivot to GCN RR make sense. Double Dash was a very grandiose game for its time, and its Rainbow Road was a standout track.
It's called a road, it's called a Rainbow Road.
Release in over a decade, they're gonna want a track exactly like this one to be a feature. And that's not to say that GBA Rainbow Road's bad or incapable. It's actually one of my favorite Rainbow Roads, and I think its mechanics were really awesome in Super Circuit. It might be my favorite track to time trial in the entire series.
Hey,
it's
same.
Also hard for me
oh my
to
god.
envision it playing in the same way when it's finally remade.
Definitely.
I guess my point is, I'm thinking about the reveal cycle here. What would be more exciting to the fans? GBA Rainbow Road, the expected less ambitious option, or GCN Rainbow Road, the unexpected, likely more played console follow-up to N64 Rainbow Road?
Oh, what about my prediction, which was DS? Yeah. DS gamers. That's
Because
10
the
in
answer
Spanish.
seems obvious to me. Nintendo finds themselves in a win-win situation if they select it too. It's exciting, but also unexpected, and that's kind of the golden formula after all, and they somehow have the best of both worlds here. It's not like this would be completely precedent-shattering either. With the Booster Pass, Wii and 3DS Rainbow Road have already returned early as well, proving even further that popularity takes precedence over any pre-existing formulas these days. But I'll add one more bonus prediction here for the GBA Rainbow Road fans. I think even if this all happens, they'll still likely add GBA Rainbow Road to a DLC pack, just like they did with SNES Rainbow Road and Mario Kart 8. But more on that later.
More on that later. Oh. You got me licking my lips.
Bold prediction 2. A handful of tracks will be reused as a retro track for the second time. And this is a very weird take to explain because it
I don't know. Is it that weird? Actually, hang on, Joe. What do you think? Second time retro. Even I said this in my rankings that they would do second time retros. How bold do we think this is? Now, of course, there are two camps. There's the camp of they're only going to use old tracks, you know? Or there's the take which I had, which was, you know, they're going to prioritize new tracks, or sorry, new retros, but they're not going to care too much. What do you think, chat? How bold are we talking? +2 to the boldness? There's still some, there's still some hair. There's still some hair, do you know what I mean? I'd give it like again, 10 is maximum bold, 1 is full head of hair. I still think he's hovering around the middle, you know what I mean? He's hovering around like the middle-ish, like maybe low middle-ish zone, you know? You know what I mean? 5, maybe a 4. I'm feeling mean in terms of boldness. You've still got hair, brother. You've still got loads of hair. What are we doing?
depends on two premises that I wholeheartedly believe in, but they feel contradictory. The first premise, which I've already mentioned, is that there aren't really enough tracks spanning across all the old games to have a very surprising retro track roster at this point, if only selecting courses that haven't been remade yet. The second premise, though, is that it's hard to believe that many second-time retro tracks would even be good selections. And this is because after 10 years of Mario Kart 8, I feel like bringing back a ton of retro tracks that were always playable in Mario Kart 8, or even revealed in the Booster Pass, wouldn't really feel super fresh or exciting. For this game to even justify its existence, I think it needs to feel quite a bit different from Mario Kart 8. That's the expectation when you're the first truly new console game in a decade for a series as renowned as this. Now, I remember back in Pokemon X and Y, the game...
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you just... Oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off on the next point, but yeah, I think if they are going to bring back second-time retros, I don't think they bring back anything in Mario Kart 8. I just don't think that'll happen. Like, I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. Like, anything that's in 8, I think, is just locked to 8. But second-time retro... when I say second-time retros, I mean, like, anything that was a retro in, like, 7 can come back. Anything that was a retro in Wii can come back. That's what I mean. Like, we might get Delfino Square again, which I would love, you know? So I would say, yeah, and especially considering, like, now that we know, I guess he didn't know at the time, but, and also those rumors even, that we know that the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. I think even when, before it came out, we kind of knew the rumors, it was kind of confirmed, wasn't it? So we know it. So anything that's kind of in 8 is going to be 8's thing. You know, I think that's fair to say.
Decade for a series as renowned as this. Now, I remember back in Pokemon X and Y, the game offered you a starter from the original generation alongside your standard Generation 6 starter. But later in Generation 6, when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, these remakes made it a point of emphasis to offer a starter Pokemon from Generations 2 through 5 to kind of fill in the gaps that X and Y left. Now, obviously this new Mario Kart game will be on a new generation console, but we are still expecting it to be backwards compatible.
Okay, so you know.
I almost wonder if this provides extra incentive to select tracks that were not in Mario Kart 8.
I think it does.
To kind of attempt to fill the gaps and all. Of course, I could see a handful of the new MK8 tracks remade as priority retro tracks, but for the rest of the tracks in the game, it's hard to see them following suit. The thing is, the Booster Pass just scooped up nearly all the remaining retro tracks that you would expect to return a second time already. Coconut Mall, Maple Treeway, DK Mountain, Wii and 3DS Rainbow Road, Yoshi Circuit, Waluigi Pinball.
I mean, in all fairness, if his prediction is something that's a retro in 8 is going to come back in 9, I would say that's a decently bold prediction. I would say we are definitely losing our hair. If that's his prediction, sorry, I didn't quite understood what he meant, but if that's what he's getting at, that is pretty bold. That is actually like decently bold. We're talking like 7, 8 out of 10 boldness right now, definitely. Because like, I just don't think it makes sense. Like, I know Nintendo's a company that just doesn't make sense a lot of the time. I just don't think it makes sense. If they are going to do it, like, I think 9's whole deal, he thinks there will be retros from it. I think so. We can finish his point, but I think that's what he's getting at. Let's actually let him finish his point.
All of these tracks are in Mario Kart 8. So what tracks would become the new targets if not these ones? When re-exploring the Mario Kart DS
See, I think that's the overall point he's getting at, isn't it?
List, the candidates don't seem super obvious. It feels like the only true fan favorite options are Choco Mountain and Sky Garden, both of which returned immediately in the Booster Pass.
I mean, Mushroom Bridge is a good shout.
And this was a theme I felt...
Unless he's also counting things that are in Tour? I don't know, actually.
Both Wii and 7 as well, albeit with some exceptions. So yeah, it's an interesting puzzle. It does feel as if returning retro tracks would keep the game less predictable, but filling the gaps of Deluxe might just result in the roster being a worse selection than Deluxe, all while still breaking precedent. So is it truly even worth it? Well, my thought is that even if they were to select only 2 or 3 tracks to be remade a second time, it would still be enough to wildly change the complexion of the roster still. So this is why I think only a few of these tracks will be selected, and that it would likely be done for games that are running out of tracks to begin with. I mentioned in my predictions video that...
So yeah, I guess, so he's getting at that, like, yeah, if there's a game that doesn't really have a lot of tracks, so basically, because obviously, you know, N64 Wario Stadium is the only N64 track left. So for example, what he's getting at is that it doesn't necessarily rule out Choco Mountain and come back again, even though it was in 8, or like Calamari Desert coming back in 9, even though it was in 8. Does that make sense? Which I can see where he's getting at. I can definitely do it because like 8 does it. Like if for example 9, I'm just going to call it 9. 9 has none of the retros that were in 8. Then I guess when you put the lineup side by side, especially because they're going to be in the same console, it kind of makes 9s look weaker because you're not going to have Maple Treeway, you're not going to have Coconut Mall, you're not going to have a lot of the hard hitters. Like essentially, what are you? If they remade literally every track that hasn't been remade yet in 9, like you're left with a roster that just doesn't look that as impressive. Does that make sense? Like you have a bunch of SNES tracks, some GBA tracks that no one really wants. Unless they can really do the remakes like a lot of justice, you know. Unless, so while I think there's still enough retros that haven't been done where you can make a good, compelling lineup, I don't necessarily disagree that you could probably include like Maple. If like Maple Treeway came back again, are we really going to be that upset? You know, are we really going to be that upset? So yeah, like maybe like 3 or 4 tracks from 8 that were retros came back again. Are we really going to be that upset? Maybe if there was DLC, actually DLC would probably be worse. I don't know. Either way, it's a bold prediction. I'll give him that. It is bold.
I felt like the Shell Cup had really limited options to choose from. I didn't really see how they could place a 64, GBA, GCN, or DS track in that cup, and I think that for this reason, the early cups are where a second time returning retro track would make the most sense. The Lightning Cup in particular feels like it has plenty of options already with how the no remake track board is already laid out. This makes the omission of Airship Fortress in the Booster Pass all the more confusing to me. Many people expect it to make its way into the next game now, but all the track board is already laid out. This makes the omission of Airship Fortress in the Booster Pass all the more confusing to me. Many people expect it to make its way into the next game now, but I'm not sure it's the best fit. I'm kind of bullish on the chances of DS Bowser's Castle making it in as well. and I feel like it would take DS Rainbow Road being the surprise instead to prevent that from happening. Its presence as a later cup DS track with a Bowser theme is not ideal for Airship Fortress fans. However, I do think a second DS track feels very possible. I just don't know if it would be the one that people are expecting. I'd say that options like Luigi's Mansion or Delfino Square make the most sense. Delfino Square in particular is the type of track that feels perfect for this situation. It's wildly under the radar after not appearing in Tour, and it was quite popular from what I could see in DS and Wii. I think it would make for a great surprise addition, but I do have to perhaps question why it wasn't in Tour. It feels like it would have been an obvious fit. I don't know if this is just another instance of Nintendo wanting to pretend that Mario Sunshine doesn't exist, but they also have Sunshine Airport to deal with too regardless, so I don't really know. I actually don't think it can be safely assumed that 64 Wario Stadium returns, as taking any other option would be again unpredictable, but in a world where GCN Rainbow Road makes it in, it seems harder for Wario Coliseum to get in, which I feel would make it easier for N64 Wario Stadium to remain. I think we will likely see Wario Stadium with a major revamp, but with that said, a second N64 track feels like a possibility to me given the popularity of the game and because it would be surprising. Perhaps it wouldn't be fair to the SNES tracks, but this feels more realistic to me at this point. My thoughts are that Koopa Troopa Beach and Frap Snowland make a lot of sense as potential early cup additions that weren't in MK8, that are versatile due to covering common themes like beach and winter levels. Maybe Sherbet Land could even fit too. In the popularity department, Mario Raceway and Bowser's Castles feel like they would fit, but I also feel like there are plenty of unremade circuits in Bowser's Castle levels that could be selected.
Definitely.
I would of course be a Banshee Boardwalk advocate too, for perhaps similar reasons as Delfino Square, but of course that would result in a pivot off of Broken Pier if they wanted to use it, a similar potential first time pick that is off the Tour radar as well. I guess my point is, I'm not sure how it'd all be done. Here are some potential ways though. So is this my new prediction? Well...
hang on. Oh, hello. Daisy Hills, Mario Circuit, Sweet Sweet Canyon, Luigi Mansion. Oh shit! What are we rating the cups, guys? Let's rate the cups. Coup Beach 1, Frappe Snowland. He said Frap. Pipeline Woohoo Loop. Oh boy. Toad's Factory and Leaf. Unless it's top. Is it top down? Am I reading it wrong? No, it's not top down. It's left to right. Hang on. Toad Factory and Leaf. Brother, that's crazy. Oh boy. I don't know about that, brother. That's crazy. Mushroom City, Wario Stadium, Bone Trap. You went with Bone Trap. That's crazy. Bone Trap. And Sunshine, Broken Pier, Bowser Castle. That's a good cup. Sunshine's a bit of a weird choice. I'd want a Cloud Top, but sure. Bone Dry? Bone Dry? Hang on, also, like, even though Bone Dry is a special cup really? Like, we're swapping... This one's Star and this one's Special, but we're swapping them down? And then we got, what was it? Luigi Circuit, Koopa Troopa Beach, Sweet Sweet Canyon Bazaar. I like that cup. I like it. Minus the Luigi Circuit, but hey. Vanilla Lake 1, Delfino Square, Toad's Factory, Pipeline. Ayo. I like this one a bit better. Mario... Oh boy. Where's like Mushroom City, Wildwoods, Wario Stadium? I mean, I'm assuming Wario Stadium gets a revamp. And not a bad cup. Mario Circuit and Leaf is crazy. That's insane. Cloud Top, Broken Pier, but yeah, that's a good cup. I like this one way better. I like this one. I like this one. This one's cooler. You know what I mean? This was a much better selection. Mario Circuit is the two circuits, you know, obligatory stinkers. I'll take it. I'll take the left one. I guess 3 is one of the more difficult ones, I suppose, but like, fuck, man. The Leaf is just crazy. I'm just saying, it's crazy. It's a little crazy, but hey.
I don't know what to think anymore. I went into the project at the start of the year expecting to feel good with my selections and came out of it feeling uncertain. I wasn't going to cancel a project I put a ton of time into, and I still feel like it was a worthwhile endeavor, and it'll even be a great prediction if Nintendo does go through with the path that they always have. But as mentioned in those videos, this is the last time that they can do it this way due to the remaining track pool, and something is going to have to change soon, so why not now? Here's my official stance. I don't think I have official predictions anymore. I'm just going to react and talk about what's likely and wait for new information to update my opinion.
Cock, HD, boring. Boring rookie. Boring. Listen, you gotta predict stuff, so you seem like an oracle. Come on, like, listen, rookie, predictions are what make the world go round. It's like when people are like, Moresty, you can't do reaction content. It's slop. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun, okay? It's slop. But I'm wrestling in the slop, goddammit. Make them, rookie. I want to see, but does Rob come back? Next video by HD Rookie. Diddy Kong or Dixie Kong? That's another video, right? That's another YouTube short. We gotta get the content mill going, you bold man. Let's go.
So if we get a reveal and we see an SNES track that looks like it belongs in the Shell Cup, perhaps I'll back my predictions from the older video. If instead we see a track like Delfino Square, then
does K-Rule make it back? Come on.
It's not exactly
we need some churn. We need some churn out, man. We need some
ambitious position to take, which is
I'll make all of those if you don't.
But I prefer to talk about multiple possibilities as opposed to just living and dying with one take alone. I think these new predictions would result in enough cool announcements and surprises to help the hype cycle of the game thrive, and that's why I wanted to share them. There are many tracks I have predicted multiple times I'm clearly bullish on, but to get back into, well, bold predictions, let's discuss my third and final one today.
Oh, we're getting bold gamers.
There will be many more new tracks than retro tracks at launch. If you really think about it, it's going to be hard to be many more new tracks than retro tracks at launch. If you really think about it, it's going to be hard to top MK8's 96 track roster. That's the new standard, but they have to try to somehow if they want the game to feel special or stand out. How would you do it exactly? Well, if you aren't going to bring back practically everything, you have to win with creativity, and that's where new track ideas come into play.
What do you think, champ? So obviously, like, assuming it's like, let's assume it's 40 tracks, champ. Assume it's 40 tracks. Is it going to be 20-20 split? He's saying nah. It's going to be like, not a 30-20 split? Is it not going to be like a 32-8 split? Like, what are we doing here?
We've had over a decade to think up innovative new track ideas, and we saw a handful added to tour, and though not all were winners in the eyes of the general public, I would say that a lot of them were very popular. If you ask me, there is more potential now than ever for them to have a long backlog of track ideas that they've always wanted to do. A base game of 48 would work in my opinion, because even if the number is substantially lower than 96, 32 high quality original courses would be unlike anything we've ever seen in a new Mario Kart game, and that could be the selling point. 2 circuits of Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road ordinarily take up 25% of the new track slots, but if there were 32 new tracks, that number would be halved. There's so much potential for really creative ideas without them having to worry about making as many cuts as well. I think we could be in for a real treat when it comes to new track ideas, and I think this is more likely than the Smash Ultimate Everyone is Here route. Not only does that feel like the expectation for
the easy ideas are never the choice Nintendo seems to make. They're predictable. It's true.
Unimaginative fans right now, but I think it would actually feel...
Also, hang on. Galaxy 3 or Sunshine 2? Is that Hydrogen Bomb or Coughing Baby?
I feel like the expectation for...
Who is that? Where did you find that thread, mate?
I think it would actually feel lazy if they focused on just retro tracks again. If you really think about it, the Everyone is Here route is kind of what Tour and the Booster Course Pass were.
True,
already.
I agree.
Do people really want Nintendo to reuse a bunch of Tour assets for next generation Mario
Give me some
Kart
new
games?
stuff.
Do we really want this to be the standard? Because they won't be able to pull from Tour forever either. The heavy new track route feels much more in line with the expectations of a new console Mario Kart and more sustainable at that. And the time is right for new ideas. With that all said, though, we live in a digital world now, and what that means is DLC is kind of an expectation too.
True.
DLC, in my opinion, is the most sensible place to really add a lot of new retro tracks.
New video idea, HD Rookie. Your 2 crossover picks. Listen, I'm a fan of Kirby and Samus. Metroid and Kirby. All right, those are my 2. What are yours, HD Rookie? Give me the video.
And the Booster Pass kind of seemed to figure this out. This is where I think we might see GBA Rainbow Road or Airship Fortress return if they were to. They would be exciting additions for a DLC pack that I think might not be optimal for the base game for reasons explained earlier. I think they would shine.
For Kirby, it's easy. We go green greens. We're gonna keep it simple with Kirby and go green greens. With Metroid, we go. Fuck, where do we go? You know what, Brinstar. We're just gonna go straight to Brinstar. Fuck it.
And this, in my opinion, is the new working formula. Flash creativity and fresh ideas in the base game, and sell people in the new generation. It would make passing up on the game feel like missing out on a lot of new content, and once people are sold, that's when you come in and add some additional content packs consisting of past favorites in my mind. It's a complete layup for additional sales. This is what they did with the original MK8 if you think about it. Sell people with the new anti-gravity mechanic, then add some DLC featuring other Nintendo series and retro tracks that had already returned. So my thought is maybe this game ends up with 64 tracks total. Maybe
64?
it's 32 new and 32 returning, or maybe there's a greater spread that favors the new courses. And this total would be less than that of Deluxe, but I think it would still offer something new to the table by putting an emphasis on the new. Perhaps the cup screens could be like how Brawl does its stages at first, with DLC added on page 2 when it's ready. But anyways, that's all I got for today. Do you agree or disagree with any of these, or do you have any ideas of your own? Well, let me know in the comments as per usual.
I think, okay, boldness rating, gamers. Boldness rating. This take, I'd put him like a 2 out of 10 boldness. I'd say with this take, that retros in 8 are also going to be in 9. That's like a +5 to boldness. So he's at a 7 out of 10. This one, I would say, I've seen it happen, and I've seen enough people talk about it where it's not crazy bold, but to say it is bold. So I'd give you a +1 for this one. So I think that leaves you at 8 out of 10 boldness score. Well done. You know what? I'll give you like an 8 out of 10 boldness score. You have like that widow's peak, you know what I mean? Like it's shaved head, widow's peak. It's one of those you have one of those like hairstyles where it's just like, brother, let it go. Just go bold. You have one of those just go bold haircuts for me. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm here for it. A decent video. I like it. It's fun. Listen, what's your 2 crossover tracks, brother? Lay it on me, okay? Let me know. I need to know, HD Rookie. It's Kirby and Metroid for me. What are yours?